actually standing on the banks of the River Kent, which is a really special river. I mean, not only are we in a national park, but it's designated as an SSSI. It's got lots of endangered species in it. It runs straight through the heart of Staveley, and it's also loved by the community. It flows right down through a few communities. You've got Kentmere first off, then it comes through Staveley community here, carries on down through Burneyside, into Kendal and out down into the sea via Sedgwick and Matland, through some of the most beautiful parts of Cumbria, in my opinion. A lot of the rivers across England are really under threat at the moment. The River Kent has a lot of pressures on it as well. The number of people, I guess, using the river always makes an impact. So there's a lot of people that enjoy the river and walk along the river, which obviously adds its own pressure. There's lots of potential discharges into the river, whether it's bad management practices, overflows, septic tanks, etc. But the issue that we're particularly concerned in finding out about is potentially human faeces being discharged into the river. So a group of local volunteers have got together. We formed a group called the Clean River Kent campaign. Our main objective is to protect its cleanliness and preserve it from the threats that it's facing.
That there's fecal bacteria in the river, and that comes from human sewage. It's not just human sewage, there's runoff from agriculture as well. All the wildlife contributes as well, but we don't need to add human sewage to that list. Oh, that's not nice, is it?
Is there supposed to be anything coming out there? I thought that was for discharges, only emergency discharges.
Yeah, I think that's the overflow, and it hasn't rained for what, two days?
Yeah.
So you'd hope it wasn't overflowing right now. But you see that white stuff?
Yeah.
That's called sewage fungus, and normally when you look at that piece of concrete, it's concrete coloured.
Yeah.
It hasn't got that white on it, so that's a real indication of sewage.
So we're downstream from Staveley, and this is the wastewater treatment works, which takes all the water from people that are on the mains from Staveley and treats it here. In my understanding, this is the discharge overflow pipe, which in theory, if I'm right, shouldn't be flowing at all apart from for emergency discharges. And well, I mean, as you can see from the river here, it's pretty low. We haven't had rain for 2 days, so I'm a bit confused and a bit shocked really at the amount of water that's coming out of there.
It's such a shame. People use the river downstream of here. I wouldn't really want to put my face near the water today, knowing that's coming out of the treatment works. It's pretty grim.
We've tried to get more information about it, but we've decided to take it into our own hands and do some citizen science to actually try and test the water quality, to actually get more data about what's going on.
We need to find out how bad the problem is, and then we need to work out the best way of addressing the problem. And what we've discovered is that designating the river as what's called a bathing water, it's a designation where they check for fecal bacteria in the river, and once it's above a certain level, then something has to be done about it. So it's making sure that it is clean and safe for human health, and with that comes a certain amount of funding.
So we've got the group from the Clean River campaign, and we're doing our first sampling of the river to test the quality of the water, which involves putting bottles that the lab provides into the water, collecting them and then taking them off to the lab for testing within 24 hours.
Yeah. This is Staveley Rec first sample.
Yep.
Excellent. And we have to say that it's a cloudy, damp day. River, medium.
The plan is for our group to do a month of pilot testing to ascertain what's going on with the river. The idea then is to select a couple of sites on that and use over the summer during the bathing water season between May and September is collect more data and a lot of information from people who use the river, surveys and photographs of people using it. the University of Cumbria doing research on the river as well. John T, a dissertation student, is monitoring the quality of the water as well. So he's doing very specific analysis, but it will complement and add weight to the whole body of evidence we're getting on the river.
We're just upriver from Staveley. It's a place called Scroggs Bridge, the highest point in my sampling set. But this is more of a control to see what the river naturally should be like without the presence of the wastewater treatment plant or any excess pollution from Staveley itself. And then I'm going to do 2 more samples, one a bit more downriver and then one just after the wastewater treatment plant. This is a probe which can tell me all the water quality readings, so like pH, temperature, suspended particles like parts per million, conductivity, such stuff like that. What I'm looking for is practically any difference in the nutrient levels. That'd be like nitrogen, phosphate, dissolved oxygen. So one of the things we're looking at is biological oxygen demand, which is just the change in oxygen. And then I'll also be doing some coliform testing, which would be interesting to see because that's one that can make people get quite ill, because that includes E. coli and other certain fecal bacteria.
So bathing water status would mean that there'd be an area of the river that's tested regularly during the summer, so people would know that it was safe to bathe or not safe to bathe, as the case may be. And I think that is really important, so people know it is okay, they're not going to get ill from it, and that's a really important aspect of that.
We'd love more people to join our campaign. We're looking for volunteers to help gather evidence between May and September, to undertake surveys, to spread the word, to take photographs, just to really get on board. So if anybody is able to join us, we'd love to have you on board.